What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about MicroStrategy today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. I don't know why it's why the camera's frozen. That's a great face, though. That's a great. Now it took the face away. There we go. Should be back. Okay, $260 now. I'm fully expecting that tomorrow we do drop. You're probably going to get a last push down. I am anticipating Bitcoin drops about 10% to 11%. MicroStrategy probably follows suit with that, and I think we can probably refine that answer or that the target better. Okay, if Bitcoin drops 10% to 12% from here, and I think it will, that would imply a price around 230 for MicroStrategy. But hold up now. Let's look at MSTR versus Bitcoin. We'll do the index, sure. MSTR, and then boom here. If we're looking at it on a daily time frame, I wouldn't be surprised at all if MSTR versus Bitcoin lost some value, which would imply if Bitcoin drops 10.8%, and actually that was at that high there, and this is the most conservative target. If it drops more, it could drop as much as like 11%, 11.5% from here. Let alone from where it closed the day, actually. Let's be real. Let's talk about where it closed from the day. 12% drop at a minimum is what I'm expecting. If not, maybe a 13% drop would be appropriate. Yeah, 12 to 13%. Okay, so 12 to 13% for Bitcoin. If MicroStrategy is in a downtrend, which it is, we have lower lows and lower highs versus Bitcoin. It's in a consolidation phase. You zoom out, it's in an uptrend. It absolutely is in an uptrend, but it might not be done with this this configuration, this consolidation here, right? Rejecting the 50, hey man, you probably do come down a little bit. We'll see. I'm not expecting anything crazy, but let's say you were versus Bitcoin to, I don't know, maybe interact with these highs here. That's a 12% loss versus Bitcoin. Interact with these highs, that's a 16% loss versus Bitcoin. What does that mean? Well, if Bitcoin moves down 10%, likely MicroStrategy would drop, if it drops 12%, and then we see it drop 16% versus Bitcoin, that would imply like a 30% loss overall. That would be something that's at about $180, right? If that happens, is there anything that we could find support on? Oh, look at that. It's our prior area of resistance. It's almost as if what we would be doing is breaking out, pulling back testing our prior shelf of resistance, a final hoorah dip to the downside for the bears, shake out all the bulls, all the people who have all their call options open get smoked. The puts get laid on heavy, the shorts get laid on heavy, and we get fuel to the fire for that next move up. I'm calling for MicroStrategy to move down to about $180, probably. And I shouldn't say probably, but around $180 to $200. You're at $260 now. And my reasoning for that is the Bitcoin chart. To me, it makes the most sense. If we look at this on a 3-hour basis, let's just see if we can confirm it. I mean, the 3-hour RSI doesn't look good, that's for sure. Getting oversold time and time again, not getting overbought. You hate being overbought. You're living under the 50. You have moments of breaths. You have a breath of fresh air above the 50. You're gasping for air is maybe a better way to put it. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just not well spoken right now. I am a little bit sleep deprived, let's be real. 1-hour time frame. The 1 hour actually doesn't look too bad. It looks somewhat productive, but it's also, to be fair, in an area where you'd expect it to reject because it's at a lower high, and at the 50 area, kind of an area that you normally would reject coming up from here, even if you are building higher. So if this thing loses, all that this chart is saying is that if it's losing value versus Bitcoin, if Bitcoin drops 12% from where it closed, which is where, that's not exactly where MicroStrategy closed, but probably close enough, MicroStrategy would drop more. If Bitcoin's going to drop 12%, MicroStrategy from its close of the day that it had today, if it drops more than 12%, that means it's going to go below any of these lows because that's an 11% drop there just to get to these lows. If it's going to go below these lows, where's it going to go? Probably at its prior areas of resistance where it broke out from a low to a high, probably somewhere in the 1272 to the 1618 area, something between about 212 to 190. But I don't think we stop at 212. I think that we probably stop at 190 again, because this chart, what would make sense would be to drop anything and everything from about, let's say, 8% to potentially 17%. If Bitcoin drops 12%, and MSTR versus Bitcoin drops 8%, that would imply then that MSTR itself drops 20%, right? 20%. If MSTR versus Bitcoin drops 17% and Bitcoin drops 12%, and again, dropping 12% is kind of the minimum expectation that I have. 12% to 17%, that's a 29% drop overall. What does 29% get us? That takes us basically to $183. Where's 183 again? Prior areas of resistance, prior areas of resistance. Something between $180 to $200. It could be specifically 200. It could be specifically 180. Most likely it's something in between there. And then we'll move up. And then we move up. If we do find support there, from a high to a low, and just so you're aware of how the fibs work, right? You can see that as I pull this down, the extensions, the lines that are up here, they're not there now, but whenever I flip this over, they will be. You see them, right? Look at the 1272 over here. Whenever I pull this down, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, it keeps going up, right? It keeps on going. It'll go up. The lower this goes, it keeps going up, okay? I'm not saying that we're going to go all the way down. I'm just saying that if we find support at, let's just say $200 itself, which I don't think we do. I think we go just below $200. It's a nice psychological level. We're going to mess with people. $200 just below there. Probably around 180, closer to 180, but maybe 190 could happen as well. The target area that we would have is $712 to $1,000. I'm expecting that we don't stop until we hit the 1886 to 200 area, okay? But that's if we stop at $200 specifically, that'll be $1,300 to $1,500 price prediction, okay? If we go lower, that turns into a 1440 to 1640 price prediction. I know, guys, it's been a long time. I know I just sound crazy at this point, right? Talking about these prices. People thought I was crazy when I was talking about $900 prices. But I'm telling you, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't tell you. This thing is getting ready to rip. And when it comes time to ripping, I would expect that we move up in a similar fashion to our last two moves. Maybe not exactly the same, but similar. From a low to a high, that took us 9 weeks to achieve. From a, maybe not a low to a high, because this was kind of the beginning of the move. Maybe I shouldn't even do that, right? That was the low, but let's say the move probably began here. 7 weeks, whatever, okay. Two months, something like that, right? The move didn't start here. The move probably more likely started here. From a low to a high, that was 10 weeks. 7 to 10 weeks, 2 months, 2.5 months, something in that time frame is likely what we're going to see, okay? $260 now, likely a little bit lower throughout the rest of this week, maybe even into next week. I think next week will be the week that we, if not this week, next week will be the week that we bottom out. I would think that it is this week that we bottom out, and then next week we start to recover. If next week is the week that we start to recover, ergo next week is the beginning of the move, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the low. Maybe it takes some time before we start to recover. But if next week is the beginning of the next move, let's just pretend that it is, 7 weeks from then would put us in the very beginning of May. 10 weeks from then would put us at the end of May. And that's if the move begins next week. If it doesn't begin next week, and the reason why I think it does begin, I don't think that we're going to see this like multi-week period where we move sideways, multi-week period where we move sideways. We have intense, immense is probably the best word to use actually, levels of fear in the crypto greed, in the crypto markets right now. A level 19 on the fear, and in the stock markets too, I believe that it's pretty low as well, or pretty high on the fear side. We didn't have that at any of these other low prices here. With stuff like that, people are irrational. They'll start to go short. They'll let go of all their positions. You can see a rapid snap back when people are caught with their pants around their ankles, and that's probably exactly what we're going to happen. So I expect early May to late May. May may just be May that we see the $1,300 to $1,700 targets come into play. Okay, and we'll know better. We'll have a better refinement of that to know exactly what to expect, more or less whenever we do find our low, whenever that happens, when we actually have that data printed for realsies, okay? Until then, we're just guessing. We'll see how it goes. I certainly do expect the MicroStrategy on this next phase will top off sometime in May, and I certainly do believe that it'll be worth well over $1,000. I don't think you're stopping at 1,000. I got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. A little bit of downside and then a lot of bit of upside. It's coming your way. Just wait, okay? Bye-bye.